Okay, let's just dive right in. You know that absolute feeling of safety you get when you lock your front door at night? We all do it, right? We head to our bedrooms, shut out the world, and basically assume we're completely cut off from any outside dangers. But, well, what if the threat isn't outside at all? I want you to picture the one spot in your house that you probably avoid, the basement. Down there in the pitch black, a simple, totally ordinary-looking leak starts. But as we're going to unpack in today's explainer, looking at some incredibly unsettling source files translated from Urdu, this is not water.
So, the big question the source material hits us with is your home truly safe? It sounds so simple, but man, it really gets right under your skin. Today, we're examining a scenario that completely shatters that cozy illusion. Just imagine discovering that a random puddle in your basement isn't actually a plumbing issue, but it's the very first sign of something, well, sinister hiding in the dark right under your feet. We're going from the totally mundane, everyday stuff straight into the deeply terrifying.
Section 1. An unusual leak. The first drop. The source text paints this picture of a completely ordinary day. You wander down to the basement to check on something boring, right? Your flashlight cuts through the gloom, you see the old cardboard boxes, the shelves covered in spider webs, the usual. And then you spot it. A strange dampness in the darkest corner. But it's not just a puddle. There's this unusual metallic smell that hits you right away, a scent that literally shouldn't be there. Now think about a normal water leak. It's clear, it eventually evaporates, it follows the basic rules of physics. But the substance documented in our source completely defies all of that. It's a thick, almost oily fluid with entirely the wrong viscosity. It just clings to the concrete and refuses to dry. It's not water, it's something else entirely, just pooling right there in the shadows of your home.
And what's crazy is how fast this goes from a minor household annoyance to a full-blown nightmare. Step 1, you've got the moisture and that weird metallic smell. Step 2, that unnatural, oily substance that just won't evaporate. But step 3, that's where it gets bad. Because in the dead of night, when the whole house is completely silent, the scratching begins. And actually scratch that. It's not scratching on the walls, it's coming from inside the walls. The source describes it as the very distinct sound of something desperately trying to claw its way out into your living space.
Which brings us to Section 2. What is behind the walls? Exploring old foundations.
Okay, to really wrap our heads around what's happening here, we have to talk about the hidden anatomy of older houses. Beneath the concrete floor, behind the plaster, old houses hide all these forgotten utility spaces. We're talking dormant drainage systems, rusted-out pipes, massive voids under broken foundations that literally haven't seen the light of day for decades. Dark passages closed off for years. Just imagine those claustrophobic crawl spaces beneath a house. Tight, suffocating spaces, choked with dust, spider webs, and discarded junk. The text explains that when concrete foundations crack over time, they create new pathways, unintended tunnels connecting the deep, buried earth directly to the basement where you do your laundry.
Section 3. The basement's terrifying secret. Discovering the unknown.
So our investigation goes into the absolute deepest part of this hidden nest. When you trace that thick, oily fluid back to its origin, squeezing your flashlight into that cracked foundation wall, you don't find a broken PVC pipe. You find the heart of the anomaly. The source material uses a very precise, almost clinical Urdu term to describe this horror, an organic mass. It defines it as a structure that does not match any human or animal biology whatsoever. It's this mass of utterly unnatural, alien textures just clinging to the underside of the house. It fundamentally breaks our understanding of what should even exist in the natural world, let alone right under our own floors.
And then the flashlight blinks, the camera light flickers, and completely dies. There's this brilliant quote from the source that captures the exact feeling of what happens next. A silence indicating a major threat. Up until this point in the narrative, there were scratching sounds, the dripping of that viscous fluid, maybe the low hum of the basement. But when the light fails, this oppressive, heavy silence just drops over the room. It's the terrifying quiet of a massive, unseen predator suddenly realizing you're right there with it.
Section 4. They are watching you, predator and prey. This right here marks a massive psychological shift in the source material. You didn't just stumble upon a nest, you walked right into a trap. It's that horrifying realization for the homeowner that inside their own house, their ultimate sanctuary, they aren't the master of the house anymore. Honestly, they aren't even a guest, they're prey. And the escalation becomes incredibly rapid. You start seeing unknown shadows darting across your security monitors when you know for a fact no one is down there. Sudden movements catch the corner of your eye in the darkest parts of the basement. And worst of all, impossible reflections in the dark windows. Glancing at the glass, seeing something standing right behind you,
only to whip around and find nothing but empty, cold space. The text makes it clear they are always in the periphery.
So, the crucial question we really have to ask ourselves after going through all this is, was this some ancient, dormant horror buried deep beneath the earth that just happened to find its way up through a cracked foundation? Or is it something we invited in? Did our constant digging, our building, our endless expansion into the dark corners of the earth finally breach a boundary that was always meant to stay closed?
Which leads us to our final section, the final warning. Some doors do not close.
We need to zoom out from this specific basement scenario for a second, because the implications of this source investigation are way broader. This isn't just about one house. It's about a lingering, inescapable threat that exists anywhere there's darkness, anywhere there's forgotten space. There is a core warning drawn straight from the text that we absolutely cannot ignore. It says there are some doors that, once opened, are impossible to close again. And that perfectly illustrates the permanence of the threat we're looking at. Once that barrier between the safety of your home and the horrific anomaly beneath it is breached, it cannot simply be unbreached. You have to remain vigilant. Never assume a leak is just water. Never assume the dark corner is actually empty. Because once that door is open, they are always watching.
So, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought from the explainer. Next time you hear a sound from the basement, will you be alone? Seriously, I want you to think about that the next time you hear a floorboard creak or water dripping in the dead of night. What are your theories on this? Could unseen ecosystems like this actually exist so close to us, right under our foundations? Think about it and let me know how you interpret this terrifying source material. Stay curious, and above all, stay vigilant.